Let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. When was the last time something amazing happened in your life and you didn't immediately post about it? When did you last accomplish something significant and kept it to yourself? When did you experience a beautiful moment and just lived in it without reaching for your phone? If you're struggling to remember, you're not alone. We've been conditioned to believe that if it's not shared, it didn't happen. That our experiences only become real when other people validate them with likes and comments. That success isn't success until everyone knows about it. But here's what I've noticed, and this might shock you. The most genuinely successful, peaceful, and fulfilled people I know are the ones who share the least. They're not posting their morning routines. They're not documenting every win. They're not broadcasting their relationship. They're not constantly updating everyone about their progress. And it's not because they're not doing anything. It's because they've figured out something that most people haven't. That privacy isn't just about protecting your information. It's about protecting your energy, your peace, your power, and your actual life. So in this video, I'm going to challenge everything you think you know about sharing your life online. Because the truth is, while everyone else is busy performing their life for an audience, some people are actually living theirs. And the difference in their results, their happiness, and their success is staggering. Think about how we got here. 20 years ago, if you wanted to share something with someone, you had to call them, write them a letter, or meet them in person. Your life was private by default. But then social media happened, and suddenly, we had this platform where we could broadcast our thoughts, our activities, our wins, our losses to hundreds or thousands of people instantly. At first it seemed amazing. Connection, community, visibility. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. Sharing went from being occasional to constant, from being selective to compulsive, from being about genuine connection to being about performance, validation, and comparison. Now we're living in a world where people share everything. What they ate for breakfast, what they're thinking right this second, where they are at every moment, every accomplishment, every struggle, every emotion, every opinion on every topic. And we've normalized it so much that if someone doesn't share, we think something's wrong with them. Oh, she never posts, she must be boring. He's so private, what's he hiding? They're not on social media much. They must not be doing anything with their lives. But what if it's the exact opposite? What if the people who aren't constantly broadcasting are the ones who are actually doing the most meaningful work, building the strongest relationships, and living the fullest lives? Here's what nobody tells you about oversharing. Every time you post about something you're working on, you get a little dopamine hit from the likes and comments. Your brain gets a reward. It feels like you've accomplished something. But here's the problem. You haven't actually accomplished anything yet. You've just talked about it. And research shows that when you share your goals publicly, you're less likely to achieve them. Because your brain has already received the satisfaction it was seeking. The motivation decreases. The urgency drops. You've already gotten the applause, so why do the work? Think about people who constantly post about their fitness journey. Starting a new diet on Monday. Here's my meal prep. Hitting the gym. New workout routine. Most of them quit within weeks. But the person who quietly transforms their body over 6 months, and then people see them and go, whoa, what happened to you? That person succeeded. They did the work in private and let the results speak. The same applies to business. The entrepreneur who posts every single day about their hustle, their early mornings, their struggles, their grind. Most of them are still in the same place years later. But the person who went quiet for a year and then emerged with an actual successful business, they understood something crucial. Real work happens in silence. Real growth happens in private. Real transformation happens when nobody's watching. Let me tell you something else about oversharing. It makes you vulnerable in ways you don't realize. When you broadcast every detail of your life, you're giving people information they can use against you. I'm not talking about identity theft, though that's real. I'm talking about something more subtle and more damaging. You're giving people ammunition to judge you, to envy you, to sabotage you, to manipulate you. That friend who always seems supportive in the comments. She's watching your relationship posts and comparing them to her own, growing resentful. That coworker who likes all your career updates. He's using that information to position himself better at work. That family member who comments heart emojis on everything. They're gathering material to talk about you behind your back. I know this sounds cynical, but it's reality. Not everyone who has access to your life wishes you well. And the more you share, the more access you give to people who don't deserve it. There's another cost to constant sharing that nobody talks about. It prevents you from being present. Think about the last concert you went to. How much of it did you actually watch versus how much were you watching through your phone screen trying to get the perfect video to post? Think about that beautiful sunset, that special dinner, that moment with your kids. Were you fully there, or were you already thinking about how to frame it for the audience? We've become so obsessed with documenting our lives that we've forgotten how to live them. We're so busy creating content that we're not creating memories. We're so focused on showing everyone what we're doing that we're not actually doing anything meaningful, and the irony is brutal. We're sharing our lives to feel more connected, but we're becoming more disconnected from the actual experience of living. Now let's talk about the people who have figured this out, the ones who've gone private or semi-private, or who were never really public to begin with. What's different about them? First, they have clarity. When you're not constantly seeking external validation, you have to develop internal validation. You have to know for yourself whether what you're doing matters, whether you're on the right path, whether you're making progress. That internal compass becomes incredibly strong. They're not swayed by trends or opinions or what everyone else is doing. They know who they are and what they want. Second, they have energy. Do you realize how much mental and emotional energy goes into maintaining a social media presence? Thinking about what to post, crafting the caption, choosing the right photo, checking for responses, responding to comments, dealing with negative feedback or weird messages, comparing your life to what others are posting. It's exhausting. And the people who aren't doing all of that, they have all that energy to put toward actual productive activities. Their relationships, their goals, their growth, their peace. Third, they have authenticity. When you're not performing for an audience, you can be real. You can mess up without it being a public failure. You can change your mind without being called a hypocrite. You can have bad days without having to explain them. You can explore who you really are without the pressure of maintaining a brand or an image. You can just be human, messy and complex and evolving, without commentary. Fourth, they have protection. Protection from comparison, from judgment, from envy, from negativity. When people don't know what you're doing, they can't criticize it. When they don't know what you have, they can't covet it. When they don't know your business, they can't interfere with it. Privacy is a shield, and in a world that's constantly trying to access you, that shield is priceless. Fifth, and this is huge, they have surprise. When you're quiet about what you're building, and then you reveal it when it's ready, the impact is massive. Think about your favorite artists or creators, the ones who disappear for a while and then drop something incredible. That's so much more powerful than the person who showed you every step of the process. There's magic in the reveal. There's power in the transformation that people didn't see coming. When you do the work in private and show up with results, people respect that differently than if they watched you struggle publicly the whole time. So what does healthy privacy look like in a connected world? Because I'm not saying delete all your social media and become a hermit. I'm saying be intentional. Be selective. Be protective of your peace. Here's what I mean. Share the wins after they're secured, not while you're working toward them. Post about the business after it's profitable, not while you're still building. Share the relationship milestone after it's solid, not during every up and down. Show the transformation after it's complete, not during every difficult moment. Share with people who deserve access to your life. Not everyone who follows you deserves to know your business. Not everyone in your contacts list deserves real-time updates about your life. Not everyone needs to know your location, your plans, your thoughts, your feelings. Reserve the intimate details for people who've earned that level of access through real relationship, trust, and genuine care. Everyone else can see the highlights if you choose to share any at all. Stop sharing when you're emotional, whether it's anger, sadness, excitement, or fear. Emotional posting almost always leads to regret. That's when you overshare. That's when you say things you shouldn't. That's when you make yourself vulnerable in ways that will cost you later. Feel your feelings privately, process them, then decide if there's anything worth sharing once you're calm and clear. Share things that add value, not things that feed your ego. There's a difference between posting something helpful or inspiring or beautiful and posting something just to show off or get validation or make others jealous. Check your motivation. Why are you sharing this? If it's for likes, don't post it. If it's to make someone else feel bad, don't post it. If it's to prove something, don't post it. But if it's to genuinely help, inspire, or connect, then maybe it's worth sharing. Create a life so good you don't feel the need to prove it to anyone. This is the ultimate goal. When your life is fulfilling, when your relationships are strong, when your work is meaningful, when you're genuinely happy, you don't need external validation. You don't need everyone to know about it. You don't need to document everything. You're too busy living it to be constantly showing it. And that's when you know you've made it. Not when everyone sees your success, but when you're so content in your success that you don't care if anyone sees it. Let me give you some real examples of what I'm talking about. Think about the couple that posts everything. Every date night, every argument they've resolved, every love of my life caption, every relationship milestone, every inside joke made public. Now think about the couple you barely see on social media, but when you see them in person, they're clearly solid, happy, strong, connected. Which relationship do you think is healthier? The one being performed for an audience or the one being lived in private? Or think about career success. The person posting every networking event they attend, every minor win, every motivational quote about grinding, every early morning routine, versus the person who quietly builds their skills, makes strategic moves, develops real relationships, and then suddenly you hear they got a major promotion or started a successful company. Who actually achieved more? The one documenting the journey or the one focused on the destination? Even in personal development, the person who posts about every book they read, every therapy session breakthrough, every self-improvement goal, every morning affirmation, versus the person who just quietly does the inner work and then people notice they've changed, they're different, they're better. Which transformation is more real? The public one or the private one? Here's what I want you to understand. The performance of a life is not the same as the living of a life. And right now, so many people are so busy performing that they're not actually living. They're so focused on the image that they're neglecting the reality. They're so concerned with how things look that they're ignoring how things actually are. And the sad part is, the performance is often hiding a pretty empty reality. Because when you put all your energy into looking successful, happy, and fulfilled, you have no energy left to actually become successful, happy, and fulfilled. But the people who've chosen privacy, or at least selective sharing, they're putting their energy into the real thing. They're building actual businesses, not just posting about entrepreneurship. They're developing real skills, not just sharing motivational quotes. They're creating genuine relationships, not just documenting fake perfect ones. They're doing actual inner work, not just posting about self-care. And the results speak for themselves. Now I know what some of you are thinking, but I need social media for my business, for my brand, for my career, and that might be true. But there's a difference between strategic professional sharing and compulsive personal oversharing. You can maintain a professional presence without broadcasting your entire personal life. You can share valuable content without sharing every thought that crosses your mind. You can be visible in your industry without making your whole life visible to strangers. The key is boundaries, deciding what parts of your life are public and what parts are sacred. Deciding who gets access to what level of information. Deciding what you share, when you share it, and why you're sharing it. Having that level of intentionality instead of just posting everything reflexively. That's what separates people who use social media from people who are used by social media. And here's something else to consider. Every moment you share publicly is a moment you can never get back privately. That intimate conversation you filmed and posted. It's no longer just between you and that person. That vulnerable moment you shared with thousands of followers. It's no longer just your moment. That private victory you broadcast immediately. It's no longer just yours to savor. Once you make something public, it stops being private forever. And some things are too precious, too personal, too sacred to give away like that. Think about the most meaningful moments in your life. The ones you treasure, the ones that shaped you. How many of those were public moments versus private moments? I'm willing to bet the most significant ones happened when it was just you, or just you and a few important people. Not when you were performing for an audience, not when you were documenting for content, but when you were fully present, fully vulnerable, fully alive in a private space. That's where real life happens. In the private moments, in the unshared experiences, in the undocumented memories. So here's my challenge to you, and this is going to be uncomfortable for some of you. For the next 30 days, go on a sharing diet. Not a total fast, but a serious reduction. Before you post anything, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this need to be shared? Why do I want to share this? What am I hoping to get from sharing this? If you can't give solid answers to all 3, don't post it. During these 30 days, experience things without documenting them. Go somewhere beautiful and just look at it with your eyes, not through your phone. Have an amazing meal and just taste it, don't photograph it. Spend time with people you love and just be with them. Don't create content from it. Accomplish something and just feel proud privately. Don't announce it publicly. See what it's like to live moments instead of performing them. Also, during these 30 days, notice how much time and energy you get back. Notice how much more present you are. Notice how your need for external validation either increases from withdrawal or decreases as you build internal validation. Notice who you actually miss connecting with versus who you realize you don't need to update. Notice what it feels like to have experiences that are just yours, not shared, not commented on, not judged, just yours. And here's what I think you'll discover. You'll discover that life is richer when it's private, that success is sweeter when it's not performed, that relationships are deeper when they're not displayed, that growth is more real when it's not documented, that happiness is more genuine when it's not validated by strangers, that peace is more attainable when you're not constantly connected, that you are more yourself when you're not constantly conscious of an audience. You might also discover who your real friends are, because when you stop performing your life publicly, some people will fade away. The ones who were only interested in the show, the ones who were watching to compare, the ones who were there for entertainment, not genuine connection. But the people who actually care about you, they'll stay, they'll reach out, they'll connect in real ways, not just through likes and comments. And those are the relationships worth keeping. Let me be clear about something. I'm not against social media. I'm not saying technology is evil. I'm not saying you should never share anything ever. What I'm saying is that we've lost the balance. We've lost the understanding that privacy is valuable, that some things are meant to be kept close, that not everything needs an audience, that there's power in what you don't share, in what you keep to yourself, in what remains sacred and protected. The most dangerous thing about oversharing isn't the information you give away. It's the life you miss while you're busy sharing. It's the presence you sacrifice for the performance. It's the energy you waste on validation instead of investing in real growth. It's the vulnerability to judgment, comparison, and envy. It's the erosion of what's sacred in pursuit of what's seen. And here's the beautiful part. When you reclaim your privacy, when you pull back from constant sharing, when you start living your life instead of performing it, everything changes. You become more focused because you're not distracted by the need to document and share. You become more authentic because you're not maintaining an image. You become more peaceful because you're not opening yourself up to everyone's opinions. You become more powerful because you're not giving your energy away to people who don't deserve it. People will notice the change. They'll see that you're different, more grounded, more confident, more at peace, more successful in real, tangible ways. And some will ask, what's your secret? How did you change? What are you doing differently? And you can smile and say, I stopped sharing everything and started living everything. I stopped performing my life and started building my life. I stopped seeking validation from strangers and started validating myself. I chose privacy, and privacy chose me back with peace, power, and real, genuine fulfillment. So ask yourself right now, honestly, what am I sacrificing by sharing everything? What am I missing while I'm documenting? Who am I giving access to that doesn't deserve it? What am I performing instead of experiencing? What would my life look like if I protected it instead of projecting it? These are uncomfortable questions, but they're necessary questions, because the truth is, the life you're sharing might not be the life you're actually living, and the life you could be living might require you to stop sharing so much and start experiencing so much more. The people who are winning aren't the ones with the most followers, the most likes, the most visible lives. They're the ones with the most peace, the most genuine relationships, the most real accomplishments, the most authentic happiness. And very often, those people are the ones you see the least online. Not because they're not doing anything, but because they're doing everything that actually matters, in private, in peace, in power. If this message resonated with you, I want you to do something different. Don't just like and scroll. Actually think about this. Take inventory of what you've been sharing and why. Evaluate whether your social media habits are serving you or draining you. Decide what changes you need to make. And then, and this is important, don't post about making those changes. Just make them. Quietly. Privately. Let your life speak for itself instead of you speaking for your life. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, but do it privately. Send it in a message, not as a public post. Start conversations, not performances. Build real connections, not just online engagement. And watch what happens when you stop broadcasting your life and start actually living it with intention, with presence, with privacy, and with power. Your life is not content. Your experiences are not posts. Your relationships are not photo opportunities. Your growth is not a performance. You are not your social media presence. You are so much more than what you share. And the sooner you remember that, the sooner you protect that, the sooner you honor that, the better your actual life will become. So here's to the private victories, the unshared moments, The undocumented memories, the experiences that are just yours, the success that doesn't need an announcement, the happiness that doesn't need validation, the life that's lived fully in reality instead of performed partially online. That's where real fulfillment lives. That's where genuine success grows. That's where authentic happiness exists. In the private, protected, sacred space of a life actually lived, not just shared. Remember, the most powerful people you'll ever meet are often the quietest online. The most successful people are often the least visible. The happiest people are often the ones who share the least, because they understand something fundamental, that privacy isn't hiding. Privacy is protecting what matters. And what matters most is living your life so fully, so intentionally, so presently, that you don't have time or energy or desire to perform it for people who don't actually care. Choose privacy. Choose presence. Choose authenticity. Choose a real life over a performed one. And watch how everything transforms when you stop sharing everything and start protecting what actually matters. Your peace, your power, your actual life. Thank you for watching. Now go live something worth not posting about.